Hey, good morning, everybody. You ever have one of those weeks? I bet you have. This has been a week of one problem after another, and it happens to everybody. I'm just going to take you along and show you how my week is. See all that oil on the floor? See that big pile of oil dry? Well, winter's coming, and it's time to put the loader on the tractor. Now, I haven't had the loader on the tractor in a couple of years, so when I put it on and got everything hooked up, the hydraulic cylinder that goes from here up to there had a leak in it. Well, no big deal. Let's take the cylinder off and let's go get it fixed. So while taking the cylinder off, I relieved the pressure on the hydraulic lines, undid the hydraulic hoses, and got oil everywhere. It comes squirting out of there like crazy. I think it even hit the door on the roof. it went that high, right out of here. So that was problem number one. And we're gonna go to problem number two, and see that Dodge truck sitting there? Well, that's not mine, but that's gonna fit into this equation of problems this week. This is problem number two. My zero turn will not stay running. So we're gonna have to get that fixed. Okay, now on to the next problem. The old work truck. Now, I don't need a new truck for what I do. I just need a truck that gets me to work, and I put a lot of money into this old truck in the last year. Transmission, fuel system, U-joints. Well, a couple days ago, I'm heading home, and the doggone thing just plain quits. And I'm stranded. So I called my friend Pat, and I said, "Hey Pat, can you give me a tow back to my place?" So he comes out and he gives me a tow, and he says, "Steve, the problem with your truck is that license plate. If you would put a Case IH on there, I'm sure it would stay running." Well, that's pretty funny, Pat. I think my truck probably doesn't identify as a Case IH. Anyway, that's the third problem. Which brings me to this nice, shiny, relatively new truck sitting in my driveway. This is my dad's truck. He's 96 years old. He bought it 2 years ago, and then he got sick, and I can't let him drive anymore. So I asked Dad if I could borrow his truck. "Well, of course you can, son." So for the time being, until we get a different work truck, we're going to be driving this. And I hate to, because my line of work, you can get dents, dings, anything. And this truck is like new. Like I said, he hasn't driven it. It's maybe got 3,000 miles on it, and that's from different family members taking him to his doctor's appointments. On to the next problem. A while ago, my brother came down and helped me get this old John Deere 50 running again. That's going to be the next problem. But before we get to that, my problems pale in comparison to these two, Bill and Hillary. They're about ready to go to freezer camp here in about another week or two. Bacon, brats, pork chops, all good stuff. And while I'm here, this is my hog barn. It's a mess. This winter, plan to expand these pens out onto that concrete out there and be able to raise more pigs, of course. Got a Chevy big block I've been trying to get rid of. Nelson, come and get it. So we want to expand each of these 3 pens out onto this concrete slab, then pour another concrete slab out there for the waste that goes into the spreader. Now on to the next problem. For some reason, I don't know if it's because this tractor's set for a couple years, but it only will run on it will only run on one cylinder now. So today I'm going to remove the carburetor and see if I can get that cleaned up, and if that's the problem, great. Easy fix. Thought I'd throw this in. This is my garden. It's all worked up. It's planted to rye. It's done for the year, resting for the winter, and in springtime we'll work this up and get it planted again to whatever the heck we decide to plant. Definitely going to be some green beans, zucchini, cucumbers. Corn's going to be in a different area. Not a problem, just an observation that it needs to dry up so we can get these beans harvested. And the wheat that's been broadcast is coming up. So we'd like to get some dry weather and get these soybeans harvested. Dad always said there'd be a time when the weather's right. If you're ready, you can get it. So I have absolute confidence in Joe. We'll be combining these beans when he gets his corn done. And deer hunting season, firearm deer hunting season is going to be coming soon. There's my deer blind. This is my food plot. What I've got planted out here is rye, wheat, oats, buckwheat, which first frost that'll die, and a lot of turnips. This is the area next year that I want to work up and plant pumpkins. And of course, we got this great big, massive brush pile that all this land was once covered with that brush. And we're going to have one hell of a bonfire this winter, about January, February. Maybe you Southerners have heard of this. This is relatively new to me. Have you ever heard of Pawpaw? My cousin Tim brought this over, and he says, "You ever hear of Pawpaw?" I said, "Yeah, it's a city here in the state of Michigan." He said, "No, dummy, have you ever heard of Pawpaw the fruit?" No. So he brought this over. He says, "You got to try it. You got to taste it. It tastes like a banana custard type of, I don't know, taste, fruit. It tastes like banana custard anyway." So I took a taste, and not for me. I guess you could survive on it. So he said, "Ask your dad if he's ever heard of Pawpaw, because it's relatively uncommon in this area." So I asked my dad, and he said, "Oh yeah, when I was a young boy, we used to walk cross lots to school, and in the back of our farm there was a bunch of pawpaw trees." Interesting note. Never heard of it before. Never seen it before. Definitely not going to eat it. And lastly, got some sad news. At least it's sad for me and my wife and my dad. No, nobody passed away. My oldest son, Steve, he and his family are going to be moving north. Now, it's not the end of the world. I know people move all the time. It's just that we've always been very close, like 20 minutes apart, and if we ever wanted to run up and see the grandkids, well, jump in a truck and you're there in no time. So he's going to be moving, and it's just a change. It's not a problem. It's just a change, and it's a sad thing for me. Steve has always been, both my boys have always been very, very close to me. So we'll get through that. And I guess the lesson to be learned with all of this is there's really no problems. They're just situations. They're things that can be fixed. Nobody's going to die. So face your problems head on. Just make them situations, overcome, get them fixed, and move on. I want to thank you folks for watching and subscribing and listening to me babble on. I do appreciate it. And until the next time, take care and God bless.